As a wake-up call, members of the National Youth Service are hereby required to be at alert as to be fit to be drafted into the military to defend the fatherland, as President Bola Ahmed Tinubu seeks Senate's approval to support ECOWAS intervention in Niger. However, the Senate has declined same. Nigeria's President Bola Ahmed Tinubu has written a letter to the country's Senate asking its members to back a regional military intervention in neighboring Niger, where a coup toppled the democratically elected government of Mohamed Bazoum last week. It was reported on Friday that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu requested for military build-up and deployment of personnel for military intervention to enforce compliance of the military junta in Niger should they remain recalcitrant. Regional powerhouse Nigeria currently holds the rotating presidency of the Economic Community of West African States (ECOWAS), which imposed sanctions on Niger, and on Sunday gave the pushists a week to restore Bazoum to power or risk possible armed intervention. Sanctions imposed on Niger by the 15 members ECOWAS includes border closures and suspensions of all financial and commercial ties with the country. The Central Bank of West African States cancelled a planned 30 billion CFA franc $51 million bond issuance by Niger. The ECOWAS also dispatched a delegation to Niger, headed by former Nigerian leader Abdulsalami Abubakar, to negotiate with the soldiers who seized power. But the team left without meeting the general, Nchiani, the coup leader. Meanwhile, Nchiani has said he will not bow to pressure to reinstate Bazoum. He denounced the sanctions as illegal and inhumane and urged his countrymen to get ready to defend their nation. The ECOWAS has been struggling to contain a democratic backslide in West Africa in the last 2 years. This has included military takeovers in member states including Mali, Burkina Faso and Guinea, and an attempted coup in Guinea. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, who is yet to appoint ministers for defense and foreign affairs, despite sending a list of 48 ministerial nominees to the parliament, is eager to stamp his authority in a region derided as the coup belt. And Nigeria, which has the largest armed forces in the region and has previously contributed the most number of troops to other regional peacekeeping missions, is set to lead an intervention force in Niger. Western countries have also struggled and strongly condemned the July 26 coup in Niger. Many of them saw Niger as the last reliable partner in efforts to battle armed groups in the Sahel region. Several Western nations have also cut aid, even though Niger is one of the poorest countries in the world and relies on outside help for nearly half of its annual budget. West African defense chiefs have also made a plan for potential military intervention to reverse this coup in Niger. including how and when to deploy the forces rather. We want diplomacy to work, and we want this message clearly transmitted to them that we are giving them every opportunity to reverse what they have done, Musa said. The 59-year-old coup leader, Nchiani, served as battalion commander for the Economic Community of West African States Forces during conflicts in Ivory Coast in 2003. So he knows what such missions involve. Support for him from other military leaders in neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, which are both the Economic Community of West African State members, could also undermine the regional response. The coup leaders closed the borders of Niger on July 26th, following President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's request to the Senate for military intervention in Niger. The Senate has denied him of his request. Currently, Linda Thomas, the United States envoy to the United Nations, said the United States recognizes and still recognizes Bazoum as the legitimate leader of Niger, and Washington supported the Economic Community of West African States to find a path forward in resolving the situation. We are engaging diplomatically with countries in the region and the United Nations to condemn what this military has done, and we will continue to keep pressures on them until they make the decisions to allow this democratically elected government resume its place. Though Niger has strategic significance for China, Europe, and Russia, it still remains one of the poor countries in Africa, as it depends majorly on outside resources for its sustenance and development. Linda Thomas, the United States envoy to the United Nations, said the United States recognizes and still recognizes Bazoum as the legitimate leader of Niger, and Washington supported the Economic Community of West African States to find a path forward in resolving the situation. We are engaging diplomatically with countries in the region and the United Nations to condemn what this military has done, and we will continue to keep pressures on them until they make the decisions.